Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We can find this guy here so he doesn't walk around voda loboda. It's a Romanian expression, like however he wants, right? So we put him over here in his little box, this, so he cannot get too cold, and he's going to supervise us, monitor us. So I'm pretty sure that you remember that the Ukrainians are killing civilians in large droves, right? Yeah. So that's a fact. No investigation needed. We already know why, because the corporate media and the media from Ukraine tells us so every day. But hey, what happens when the Russians report that the Ukrainians are killing civilians? Do we take that in consideration, or we just dismiss it as in Israel or Gaza? Well, let me show you. You can use this as an example next time when someone tells you that the Russians are the only ones killing civilians, according to these guys. Now you're gonna have these guys here claiming that those guys kill civilians as well, using American provided weapons. All right? So let's go and see. I have this article from Sputnik. Death toll of Ukrainian HIMARS strike on Donetsk rises to over 20. I'm not going to play the videos because we are on a free speech platform of YouTube, so they think that we cannot handle the truth. We cannot, it's too dangerous for us. So first thing first, it's very interesting that HIMARS was able to escape the Russian air defense systems, and they destroyed people. Okay, here is a woman, obviously, and we go down here. Scores of civilians were killed and injured on Tuesday evening as a result of Ukrainian shelling of the Voroshilovsky district of the city of Donetsk. I'm going to show you where that is, according to DPR authorities. Remember, those are people. Those are civilians, regardless of what kind of nationality or race or creed they have. Correct? Correct. You got to say that because it's true. Civilian is civilian. So we have here the map of Ukraine, and Donetsk is. Where is it? Oh, right. I always have a problem finding Donetsk, but nevertheless, I always find how do you call it? Luhansk. But Donetsk is right here, big as a rock right here. So this is Donetsk. So this is where this article alleges, reports, not alleges because it shows pictures and videos that I'm not going to play. Here is the Donetsk where the allegedly Ukrainians shelled. So let's go back to the article. The death toll from Tuesday's HIMARS attack on Donetsk has jumped to more than 20, a DPR representative from the Joint Center for Control and Coordination has reported. Now, with that being said, the Russians probably should ask the ICC, International Criminal Court of The Hague, to issue a arrest warrant for Zelensky for war crimes. Targeting civilians is a war crime. So, are they going to do it? No. Well, if you're not fair, I'm going to be not fair, right? Is that how it works? All right, let's keep reading here. Earlier in the day, Donetsk Mayor Alexei Kulemzin said shelling of the city's Voroshilovsky district had hit the building of the Department of Labor and Social Protection of the population, causing its ceilings to collapse. The initial death toll was estimated at 6 people. DPR head Denis Pushilin said Ukrainian troops used HIMARS systems to carry out the atrocious attack, hitting the city 3 times on top of other bombardments that occurred over the day, which injured 1 person and damaged a residential building and a hospital. Video here, I'm not going to play it. Video here, I'm not going to play it, but you can go and on Sputnik and find it. The JCCC confirmed that the Ukrainian military targeted the city 3 times during the day, Tuesday at 4:25 p.m., 4:40 p.m., and 6:27 p.m. local time, and said that in addition to HIMARS, MLRS, M31 fragmentation rockets were used. All right, my friends, here is the guy who is in charge of the Ukrainian army, supposedly. And we have here the United Nations reported earlier this year that nearly 9,200 civilians had been killed amid the escalation of the Ukrainian crisis from February 2022 and June 30, 2023. In May, the JCCC reported that some 4,527 civilians perished in DPR alone. In the year's time, 3,791 of them in newly liberated territories and 736 within the DPR borders prior to the escalation. So you got, these are all civilians. I haven't heard of anybody being indicted with anything. So here it is. It was 9,200, of which is said that 4,527 perished in the DPR alone in the year's time, and 3,791 of them in newly liberated territories, and 736 within the DPR's borders prior to the escalation. So that was prior to 2022, February 24th. Well, how is law going to be distributed in this case? I mean, even if someone could be so idiotic to say there were, Russians did it, or because of the Russians, still, some of those were killed by Ukrainian bombs. So how, unless you are willing to say, or someone is willing to say, all those people were killed by the Russians, that's impossibility. I mean, not impossibility, it's extremely, improbable. Why? Because, how can you hit your own people, right? Well, you can, right, if you want to conduct a false flag operation, but then why only the Russians would do it? You see, you have to apply the same standards to both sides, not because one are imperialists and attacked, unprovoked. The Ukrainians who unprovoked are the victims and are defending their country after they killed those guys in the eastern territories, right? Remember 2014? Okay, all right. So if you're willing to be objective, I'm not you, in general, we have to look at and analyze events using the same standards. Otherwise, you lose people who you ask them to be just at one point, because they say, no, I will not be just here. Why? Well, you ignored so many pieces of information and data and evidence, and I don't think you're just, so I'm not gonna support you. The same thing is for the other side. So, because we are human, my friends. We're human, and we lose it. We lose it, why? Because we usually react in the same way under pressure, sooner or later. And if you don't, that's very good, but I strongly doubt it. If you've been in this kind of circumstances, you probably understand that stress and tension and hatred gets to you. And then you act idiotically, or maybe instinctually. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When I say instinctually, I'm saying bad. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.